that was silly, ridiculous, a waste of time. They didn't want. That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away.
Made a living in very dangerous.
This is really an integrated blue together.
Dianne Andrews in black and white.
Hello, this is Fuji Totes. I just found out Fuji could not come in with me, so I'm making a little video for you to see how the pillow works with the doggy in it. As you see, Fuji's in here in the bottom of this. At the end, after I take him out, I'm going to take all the things that are in here with him that you need on a trip, or whether you're just going, for an afternoon, everything you need to take the dog. I have driven all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada, and taken Fuji and my other dog on multiple with me with their meds, their leashes, their water cup, and whatever, in one pack, a couple of packs of food are in the bottom of this. By the way, I even have a COVID test. If you think the dog has COVID, it's in the bottom here that you can carry. And I'm going to show you, even with all that in the bottom, he can still lay here and feel nothing. You see him sitting down on it? He can still do that with all the things in there. And I'll show you what was in there. He had a Play-Doh. He had the COVID test, as I laughed about. He has a heavy leash. He has a water bottle. He has some food. And another leash. This pillow only weighs about 3 pounds. So whatever you need in your necessities are for your dog can go in here, along with the dog as you carry him wherever you want to go. To the park. And I'll tell you, sometimes I use this to put things as I go outside. So this is Fuji's Totes. And they are patented. Now, I'm going to show you in the presentation the large pillow. All of these are multifunctional pillows that can be used for cover-ups, for totes, for luggage. And I'm going to tell you the story how I started Fuji Totes. Fuji was, but anyway, I'll say that personally to you. I don't have to tell you all that now. Thank you. Welcome to Dianne Andrews in black and white. I'm your host, Dianne Andrews. I want to thank you, audience, for being a part of the family of Dianne Andrews in black and white. I've been doing this 9 years. I get stopped. Most people like it. Some people ask me, and they say, well, you're that girl on TV, right? I look at them and I say, yeah. And they say, oh, I like it because we check you and everything you say is pretty much correct. And I get people who follow me, but the key is we get debate going on. I like people who have dissension with what I say, but doing it in the right way. America has gone wrong right now with the way we don't agree to disagree. I agree to disagree with everybody. I do people on the show, Republicans, Democrats, left, right, or any subject. Don't like gays because I've done shows with transgenders. I've done shows with atheists. I do shows with everybody who has a voice, respectively. Today we're going to talk about this country. If anybody thinks it has gone the right way in the last 3.5, almost 4 years, you must not be living on the same planet that I'm living on. America has had, the numbers go from 10 to 20 million. We know about 12 million. How many we don't know about? We do know also because the Border Control just endorsed Donald Trump last week. What they're saying about the bill that they came up with 6 months ago was allowing 5,000 people a day into this country. Donald Trump had 2.4 million in 4 years come in this country because he did something called the Remain in Mexico program with Ottawa, who was the president of Mexico. Democrats are always saying, oh, they didn't pay for the wall. Oh, yes, they did. He put 28,000 troops on his side of the border for 2 years. It's called the Remain in Mexico program. First day in business, if you want to call it. It seems like a business instead of a political administration. First day, they changed the rules. They got rid of the Remain in Mexico, and they opened the border. They got rid of they started the catch and release. So they catch them, and they release them right back into this country. So violence has gone up. I mentioned the Border Patrol. They released a statement about 2 weeks ago saying 425,000 criminals, convicted criminals, have come into this country. And people try to say it's the last 40. No, it wasn't. Again, Donald Trump had to remain in Mexico. And I interviewed a guy from Cuba who was really seeking asylum. He came, I had him come into the studios. I had to get a translator. He didn't even speak English. He was behind that remaining Mexico wall for 2 years before they could find out whether he was truly an asylum seeker. And he was. He lives in Miami, Florida today. But the Border Patrol said 425,000 criminals have come into this country. Most of that is the last 4 years. 13,000 murderers and 15,000 sexual offenders, mostly rape. And where they came from is jails. There's a program we have called the Humanitarian Parole Program with Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti, where we get prisoners from their jail and we fly them over here. They're not even counted in the numbers. That's why I tell you, it's more than 12 million. Look that up, HPP. There's another one, you may have heard about this, with Aurora, called TPS, with the Haitians. They've flown 800,000 Haitians to America. And they flew some into Louisiana. We do have Haitians that have been flown into here. And don't get me wrong, I had a home health agency. I had 5 in the span of 15, 20 years. And I had 12 people work for me, all from India, at different times. They were sponsored. 3 of them got their citizenship while they were here. They were legal. I believe in legal immigration. 1.2 million people were allowed in this country legally, more than any place in the world. If you want to integrate into Canada and a lot of other countries, you have to have a skill that they're looking for. They just don't let you walk across that border. Most countries are that way. Some people pay, like Turkey. If you want to go into Turkey, if you have enough money, you pay to get in. But what we have is illegals paying cartel, dirty people to get them across that border. There is a better way, and it should have been fixed. Kamala Harris talks about two years. 2 years they had the Senate and the House and the presidency. They did nothing with the Dreamers. They always put it in your face, and then they do nothing. But Donald Trump signed executive orders. You don't need a bill to stop immigration. We do need to fix the entire comprehensive border system. But we can do much better. And the bill they talk about was in February 2024, when already 10 million people had come in here. Look up when that bill was. Only 2 Republicans signed it. They call it bipartisan. Come on back. We're going to talk to someone today. When I take break, I want you to come back. Because we're talking about violence. I mentioned murders, rapes, criminals, which we have a lot of them that don't have to be illegal. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot here. We don't need to bring any more. But there's a very good friend of mine, a conservative podcaster, radio host, and streamer. Several months back, took a trip. He was near Alexandria, Louisiana. And someone attempted to carjack him. I had to look, I say, when I explain this, what's the difference between carjacking and just stealing a car? Carjacking means you're in the car. The car is occupied. Stealing, of course, you're not in the car. No one's in the car. But come on and back and listen to this harrowing story of how a legal gun saved him and his wife's life. Come on back to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Thanks for coming back to this, I believe, interesting but so informative show that can save your life. We're going to be talking to my good friend, conservative William Willis. I already told you he's a streamer. He does a conservative podcast and a radio show out of New Orleans. He also just did a mega fest at the Clarion Hotel in New Orleans that I was grateful to be one of the speakers. It was wonderful, with a lot of conservative points of view. I even met a man who was in the January 6th, imprisoned for January 6th for 2 years.
That was Thomas Hammer.
Yeah, he was. His little boy was so cute. I got the picture with his little boy. He was so cute. So let's hear about this harrowing experience you had.
Well, that was when I got carjacked.
With your wife, yes.
Yeah, exactly, with my wife. But before I get started with that, Dianne,
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for bringing me on your show.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how grateful I am for the opportunity. But even more than that, I mean, you have an amazing show. You know, and a lot of people often talk about how not only great it is to be on your show, but how great your show is when they watch it.
That's
and
good.
there's a lot of real good feedback. I commend you for what you're doing in the community and for the people of our state and our country. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I appreciate
My
it.
good friend Susie Lambert. She said, it's time somebody would get you to speak. Last Sunday,
Right.
what a worker. What a great lady.
She's a great
I've known her
worker.
for 15 years.
Yep, she's a great
Because,
worker.
you know, I write and have a script. I've written for a book. See, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I pay for the show because I don't have time to go out and try to find money, which is
we
crazy.
brought you in down there because of your wonderful voice and your great information and your enthusiasm and your
I
passion
love
for
America.
our country.
I love
Absolutely.
this country. I have lost many friends, and I hope that they don't have to end up saying 2 years from now, if we don't win, that Dianne, you were right. When we've turned, people don't understand what communism is.
Exactly right.
Communism is this unearned tax credit she's
That's right.
talking about. You're going to pay tax. If you bought, a lot of people bought their house 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. You're going to pay what that house is worth
That's right.
today. You're going to pay taxes on that. And communism, everything belongs to the state. That's why America is such a great place for the American dream.
That's
It's
right.
one of the few countries besides Europe that you can buy a house.
And you know, under communism, you would not have the right to protect yourself.
That's right.
In your car, your home, or on the street, like I did.
Right.
You know,
You
on
saved
the, on the,
you
on
and
the,
your
on that
wife's
night.
life.
That's right.
Because
But-
people don't realize also 85% of gun murders are done with illegal guns.
That's right.
So you can put all, and I do believe maybe we could have tighter background and laws and things like that. I don't have any problem with that. I believe in that. And maybe every state, because California I think has some of the most lenient gun laws, right?
No.
I know Illinois has the toughest, and they do more murders than any
California
place.
and Illinois have some of the most strict.
California. But you know why I said that? Because that guy who killed the people they were at a concert in Las Vegas. He got his guns from California.
But it's proof though that
It doesn't work, right?
That gun laws don't catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
Don't catch the bad guys all the time.
Right, but if you
know.
take away guns from America, that's why it's in our Constitution. And your story is proof positive that a conscientious gun person
That's right.
can save lives.
That's exactly
you saved
right.
yours and your wife's.
That's
It
right.
was harrowing when you first told me. His wife didn't want to come on. I wanted her to. I know she doesn't want to relive this at all.
She doesn't want to relive it. You know, she'll share the story in private.
yes.
But that one evening, you know, actually was Mother's Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So Mother's Day, the night before Mother's Day, and we were traveling up to northern Louisiana.
My old territory.
Yeah, exactly. You know, my wife's mom had just died about a year before that, or 8 months before
Where's she
that.
from? That little LeConte?
Yeah,
place you're
no, they're from Natchitoches area.
Oh, that's what she's
So,
from, yeah.
you know, the night before Mother's Day, we were to go to her mom's old house and stay the night,
Yeah.
and you know, and put flowers on her mom's grave the
Yeah.
next day. So, you know, the Mother's Day weekend had some meaning to it.
I
from
knew I
my
liked
wife.
her. She's a North Louisiana girl, too.
Exactly right. She sure is. She's a country girl.
Yeah, like me.
And
Yeah.
so on the way up there for that special day, the next day,
Yeah.
Mother's Day, you know, we stopped for a bathroom break at a gas station.
Was it
And
dark?
It was dark. It was 10:30 at night, and you know, we pulled. And I told my wife, I said, you know, we can wait. She says, no, there's a little town up here. It's a little small
knew
town.
the
It's
area.
safe.
She knew
She
the
knew
area.
the area. She said it's called a count.
Yeah.
Although the sign spells it like a compt, people pronounce it like count.
Yeah.
Either way. So we stopped at a gas station. We went to one gas station. It was closed. Went over
Excuse me a minute. Y'all see Fuji's here. You know he's only a year old. He's a puppy. But he's pretty quiet right now. But
He's
yeah.
excited to be on the show.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
he's excited to
the
be on your show
co-host.
too.
Yeah, he's the co-host.
So then we went across the
That's right,
the other
right
side of the interstate to the other gas station, and we got there, and it was open, but there was nobody.
So interstate goes through this little town.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's it's a little exit, you know, and
Yeah,
there's a
that's
gas station on one
I-10,
side and
I-10,
gas
right?
I-49.
Oh, I-49. Okay,
I-49,
yeah.
10 minutes south of
That goes all
Alexandria.
from Lafayette on. That's at 49, right? You take
Exactly
Lafayette
right.
from here on. Okay,
All the way
yeah.
to Shreveport.
Yeah, yeah.
And so either way, we get off the exit, and we go into the gas station. The gas station was open, but there was nobody there. So we parked it.
No customers. They had one guy or girl.
One guy
lady behind
was
the counter.
working in there at the behind the counter. But
Yeah.
we parked 2 car spots away from the front door. That's how
We'll try
close
to
we
get a
were.
picture of it. It's in that little town.
Little town, yeah.
We'll Google it. We'll get a picture. We'll put it on screen. As you see, we put a lot of pictures
I got
on
a
the
picture on my
shows,
phone
yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Well, I'll get it from you.
I have a picture with me standing by the wall with the
Oh, my
bullet holes
God.
in it. where the second part of the accident, the carjacking happened,
Wow.
where I was hiding behind a brick wall at one point while he was shooting at me.
Yeah.
So I have that
I mean, this
picture.
is a
I'll show you.
Wild Wild West show. I'm not going to interrupt you. Just go from
So either
start
way,
one.
we go in, we use the bathroom, and whenever we go to the place, we always buy something from the place. It patrons the place for us to use the restroom there. So we came out, and but when we got back out to the car, there was another car parked next to us, and it was kind of parked a little cockeyed, and this is there's a lot of things I'm gonna highlight because they're learning experiences. And as my wife tells a story to one-on-one, she'll say when she came out and she knows the car was cockeyed and parked real crooked, she said...
Very close to you all?
It was parked close. She turned to me and she said, honey, look at the way this guy's parked. It's just not right. And he was kind of sitting in the car, kind of low profile. And so me, being being more confident, said, well, honey, let's just get in the car and go. And she'll always say when she tells the story that anybody, when you're walking to your car, especially if you're a female like yourself, and you see a car parked next to you, and your gut feeling tells you something's up, something's up.
Right.
And so
we have that ESP women do.
Oh yeah. Oh exactly.
Yeah.
So either way, I said, well, just get in the car because she wanted to drive. So she got in the driver's seat. I got in the passenger seat. And as soon as I closed the door, I heard a male voice say something. I turned over to her, and as I look over to the car door, I see a man holding a gun, finger on the trigger, and he says, "Get out of the car, or I'm going to kill you. Don't make me kill you. Get out of the car." And my wife says, "Oh my God!"
She was driving, so he was
she
on
was
her
in the car.
side.
She was it was on her side. I said, "Honey, it's okay. We're going to give him the car. He can have everything in it." Again,
You were saying that cool, and you were thinking, what?
Exactly.
You know what to do. Trained.
Exactly.
Yes.
I am somebody who regularly trains, and training is not just going to the range and shooting at a paper target. You've got to watch videos. You got to train. You have to think through these scenarios. You have to be aware and train and think out. Well, what would I do if I'm sitting in my car and somebody came up on my left, came up on my right? What would I do if I see somebody running up on my car? You've got to think these. That's training, and it's just as important as watching a video.
Very much so.
And not many people do it. So we were getting ready to get out of the car, he shoved the gun to her face.
Oh my God.
And actually pushed her a little bit. And that's what he said.
Does she have any emotional side effects from this, sleeping or
Not
walking
anymore.
by herself?
Not anymore.
When was this?
It was Mother's Day weekend. This past Mother's Day weekend,
this year.
2024. Yes,
Yeah.
it was this past year, a few months ago.
Well, she knows she got somebody who can protect her. That makes a difference. You carry a gun and you're trained.
So he says, as he shoved the gun in her face, pushed her back, and says,
"What a jerk."
Do not put your hands in your pocket. So, again, you're in training. You learn scenarios, and because I had to make the decision, he doesn't know that I have a gun.
He had a gun on him.
Yeah, he doesn't know that I had a gun. But he's protecting himself. He's a criminal. While we were getting out of the car, and I'm having to be aware. Again, it's all about training.
So he stayed on the side with her with a gun pointed to her head.
Right. So as they're getting out of the car, they're getting out on one side, and I'm getting out on the other side. I'm sneaking my gun out of where I keep it, and I'm holding my hand still. I'm doing it in a way that he doesn't see that I'm pulling my gun pulling my gun out.
Right.
Because he's already said, don't put your hands in your pocket, and I have to take chances. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
But then I also have to be cognizant of the fact that he may be watching me.
Yeah.
In my moves. So when we stood up, he had the gun to the back of her head.
Oh my God.
And he was partially using her as a shield. He stayed kind of close to her with the gun to the back of her head. Now I don't have a shot. There's no way that I could take that shot.
No.
I evaluate the situation. I see that I have some place that I can run to, but I'm not going to leave my wife. So I turn back to reevaluate the situation. Something you learn in training. So when I look back to my wife, I see her going forward, flying to the ground. He had pushed her forward. Later I found out that he had pushed her forward with his left hand that I could not see. But I see the gun going down, so I don't know. I don't hear a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's been shot, but I see her going down, but I see his hand going down, following her. So now I am in fear of my wife's life.
Yes.
I'm in fear of my life.
Right.
Because if he's going to go, this is something that I already know. He's going to shoot her.
Yes.
I'm convinced of this.
Right.
So at that point when she's going down, there's a separation between him and her. That was my opportunity to take a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to swing basically from the side that I'm hiding my gun on, up across over my body over the top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
It's at night. It's dark. It's a poorly lit gas station, and I've got to get a shot off very quickly before he pulls the trigger, knowing already that he's already
You were being
aiming.
so logical. You were thinking of all of the ways.
Well,
that
this is
what could
again.
happen.
I can say this very calmly and slowly right now, but when you're in the moment,
Yes.
it's moving 90,000 miles an hour.
Yes.
And so it's because of training that I can look back and go, oh wow, these are things that I've thought out before.
And you're trying to, you mentioned videos and things, they're self-taught.
Oh yeah, you can
bring
watch
them
videos.
home. You don't go to a class.
Yeah, well, I've been to classes,
Yeah.
I've trained before, but again, it becomes more instinctual. And if you watch some video, and it's not that I do it 24/7.
Yeah.
It's that I've done it enough to where your brain kind of kicks in. And you want this. It's just like shooting a gun. You want it to be more automatic. In your hand feel to where it's an automatic response instead of something that you've got to really work at. Mm-hmm. You need to train. You need to go regularly. So again, when you're at the range, if you ever shoot at somebody, you shoot at a target that you know from training, I can't shoot somebody that close. It's just common sense. Mm-hmm. But again, when you're in a gun community, you're talking to people, you're training, you learn these things. So I don't take the shot the first time, but when he's separated from her because he's pushing her down, and I see him bringing his gun down to her, that's my opportunity to try to get a shot off very quickly. Mm-hmm. And all I know is I have time to just point and shoot and get one off quickly before he shoots her. Mm-hmm. Then I see his shoulder pull up, and I see him coming over to me.
Toward you. Wow.
And now he's shooting at me over the top of the.
He starts shooting.
So now he's coming at me and shooting at me.
Did he know? Had he seen your gun? He'd seen your gun now?
Yes, because I've shot at him. I've shot at him.
So he didn't shoot her. He just started shoot at her. He just started shooting at you.
When I'm swinging up, is when and get a shot off is when he's coming over at me and shooting at me. So now he's shooting at me. I'm returning fire, but I'm walking backwards because I can only think of I want to get behind that brick wall because situational awareness. Training. I know where I'm trying to get to, and while I'm back up to get to that, while I get two shots off, I trip over a curb.
A curb?
A curb.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm on the ground, and I can't get up, and I kept trying to get up. And I felt
Were you hurt?
I felt like I kept getting knocked back down, and I could not get up. And while I'm on the ground, I see concrete dust pop off from around hitting.
He's shooting.
I see concrete dust flop off. He's shooting at me while I'm on the ground, and so I can't get up. I'm scurrying to try to get to that brick wall. Now I see my wife still on the ground over there. I get behind the brick wall. I see brick dust fly off. I'm behind the brick, but I see brick dust fly off, off the brick wall. And I look down and I'm covered in blood. And I thought I've been hit.
Yeah.
Later, I found out that I had just fallen in glass, and that's how I got all bloody.
Wow.
From that. But the second the gunfire stopped, all I could think about is my wife is right there.
Right.
And so I stood up in a burst of energy. I came back around the corner because I feared for her life, knowing that she's on the ground right by him. And sure enough, as I come around the corner, he's already pointing the gun back at her. And I get two more rounds. I get two more rounds off at him before he turns the gun on me again, starts shooting at me again.
Did he ever shoot at her?
No. So now I'm shooting back at him, and then and I ran out of ammo. But as I run out of ammo, I'm retreating to the back behind the wall.
Yeah.
And he's running to the car. Okay, or he starts to head towards the car. My wife runs inside of the building. She gets up and runs inside, later, what she told me, she said, when you came back around the corner and shot, and he shot back at you, his gun jammed. She said, I saw him try to clear his gun 3 times, and then he ran. And then she says, and then I was able to run inside because I keep
God was with you.
By me coming back around that corner
Yeah.
and shooting, it caused his gun to jam.
Yeah.
He was able. And then he got back in her. He got in her car, and he took off.
In your all's car.
In her car, correct. So because our phones were in the car, he was able. The police were able. Now I'm condensing, so there's a lot that happened in between here.
Right.
But because our phones were in the car, the police were able to track the direction he was going in,
Yeah.
and take him on a chase. And he took him on a 45-minute long police chase, where they had to spike strip the road in Kinder, Louisiana, which caused him to total her vehicle in the woods. And then he ran into the woods and he evaded the police till the next morning, where they were able to get him with the police dog.
So he ended up on foot,
He ended
running
up on
into
foot.
the woods.
He ran into the woods and he evaded the police in the woods all night long until the
Yeah.
next morning when they found him.
Yeah.
And but the reason why the police can confirm that he was going to kill us, is that we were the 5th victims of the night.
5th victims,
Fifth victims of the night of carjacking.
He stole 5. So he's working
Well,
with
he
a
didn't steal
syndicate.
5 cars, but he carjacked his neighbor at gunpoint.
His neighbor.
Earlier that day at gunpoint, he carjacked his neighbor. He attempted to carjack 3 more people. The couple right before us, they tried to carjack. The husband tried to protect his wife, and when he
Like
did,
you.
like me, when he did though, the carjacker shot the husband in the arm, and then he turned and he killed their service dog.
Aw.
In the back seat.
And the back dog just turned and killed him for no reason.
Turned and killed the service dog in the back of the car. I'll say this. I'll interrupt you to say this. Being trained is the most important thing that you can do. It shouldn't be made mandatory,
Well, people aren't gonna do it.
but it should be promoted. It should be encouraged. There should be some motivation
Does
for people to do that.
do things like that?
NRA
Didn't they used to do training? The National
NRA
Rifle
does training.
Association?
Did you
There's a
know?
black guy over the National Rifle
Did you
Association.
know what the NRA's original mission was?
To promote safety and gun control.
To arm black people.
To arm black people? No, I did not know that.
The NRA gave guns out to free black men
Wow.
to be able to protect their
What
families.
year was that? Back right after slavery?
I do not know the year,
Yeah.
but I'm giving you a little tidbit.
That's
You can
good
look it
that
up.
I didn't know. That's good. You know, I love learning.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why that's I pull that little arrow out of my quiver and said, "Here, this is for you."
Comes over, he said we could talk all day. When he comes over and we start talking, because I talk about everything all the time.
But I'll say this. I'll interrupt you to say this. Being trained is the most important thing that you can do. And it's not just going and shooting a paper target. It's not saying, hey, I have the right because Louisiana has the law that gives me the right to carry concealed. You need to get your concealed carry license, because you will learn things in your concealed carry classes that will give you where you can carry legally. Respect. Because it's also about respect, but it's about knowing what's right, the right gun. It might be mace. It might be a burner gun.
Yeah.
It might be other things that you can do. It's not just a gun.
Thanks for joining us today on this show, where we wanted to teach you about guns and gun safety. And also, we always get into some current events, especially to talk show hosts. Thank you very much for being on my show, William.
Thank you, Diane.
See you soon.
Appreciate what you're doing.
We're going to do some other things together. See you next week. Bye-bye.